Yo, what's up, guys? Teacher Paul here, and today we have a request. This one comes from Susan, and Susan says, "These are Swedish things people are doing." This video is from a channel called Saga Johanna, and if you want to check that out without my commentary and my reaction, link is in the description. Go watch it and then come back to see my thoughts on it. Okay, let's go. Let's check out. Hey, hey.
Hey everyone, I hope you are doing amazingly. Today I'm going to share the craziest, most wonderful, and best Swedish traditions that I think you should try too.
Okay, the title is 19 weird Swedish things people do that you should do too.
How we cut our pizza, to how we raise our children, to how we sleep.
Okay.
Here are some of my favorite Swedish traditions that I think everyone in the whole entire
How do you
world
cut
should
your
do.
pizza?
So let's
With
get started.
scissors?
We cut our pizza with scissors. This is also a minimalist hack because you no longer need to use a silly pizza cutter that you literally cannot
Italians
use for
do that
anything.
too.
Instead, just use your kitchen scissors to cut pizza. Cutting pizza is such an easy and fun way to...
Those are not kitchen scissors though. I cut my pizza with scissors, but...
use your kitchen scissors.
That is a workshop scissors. Those are not kitchen scissors. Those are scissors that you'd find in a workshop.
To cut pizza. Cutting pizza is such an easy and fun way to slice pizza. One of my favorite hacks for a happy marriage and a Swedish tradition that I grew up with is to have separate duvets. Having separate duvets makes so much more sense. It is so much more comfortable. You never have to fight with your partner over a blanket, and it just makes a world of difference. If you have one duvet, it's big and bulky and it's crazy. Just try 2 duvets and see if it makes you feel any better. Speaking of duvets and bedding, the next...
I don't know. There, like when I went to Bergen, the hotel had 2 different duvets. It really didn't work. Maybe it takes some time to get used to it. It didn't work because one duvet fell to the floor, and then there was another small duvet where it was a competition to have, because I don't know. I feel like a big duvet is more practical. Don't know. What are your thoughts on that, guys? What are your thoughts? Because the small duvet fell to the floor and then nobody noticed. And then we were like, "Oh, why are you stealing my duvet? No, this is mine." You know, that whole thing.
Thing that is really important that you should try, that we all do in Sweden, is that we have a duvet cover and a duvet inner and a sheet to make our bed. We don't have any top sheets, here. We don't have any blankets. That is absolutely disgusting. Sorry, but it is because you don't really wash them as often. You need to have a duvet if it's cold in your country, and you need to put the duvet inside of the duvet cover, and then you wash the duvet cover weekly, this way you have a very clean bed. When I first came to New Zealand, I was taught about the idea of a top sheet, and you sort of put the duvet on top, but you never really encase it. But that means that when you move around throughout the bed, your body will touch the duvet inner, and you simply cannot wash that once a week because it doesn't last as long as if you do that. So absolutely, if you have a duvet inner and it's cold in your country, put a duvet outer on it, and in the summer when it's too warm, you just put the duvet inner away and you just sleep with the duvet outer as a blanket. Easy. One of my favorite Swedish sayings is something like, "There is no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing."
Nice.
Very literal and very Swedish.
Yeah, I live by that now as well. I found out about that here on this channel. And it's true, it's true. If you have good, comfy clothing, then you're good, you're good.
But as a child, this was normally printed on our weekly mailer at kindergarten or at school, which basically meant for our parents to remember to put proper clothing on us because we would be outside all day, no matter the weather. I think most people these days tend to stay inside when it's bad weather outside instead of just going out there, but by putting on proper clothing, it makes it so much easier to be outside in all weathers, and it's so much better for your health to be outside and breathe in the microbiome rather than just staying inside and watching TV. Another Swedish health.
Yeah, I don't mind being outside in any type of weather except for rain. I hate being outside in the rain. There's no clothing that will save you from the rain. Your shoes are gonna get wet. You're gonna step on mud. I just don't like that feeling, you know. I don't like soggy shoes. I don't know. Obviously you have umbrellas and yada yada, but still it's still an inconvenience because you have to like hold and I don't like rain. I don't like rain unless it's a hot place and then you don't mind the rain. because it cools you down, then that's fine. Swimming in the rain is actually pretty cool too, but not in the cold weather and not when you're trying to go to work or whatever you're doing. I just don't like the rain. I love the rain when I'm indoors. Yeah, the sound of the rain, the smell of the rain. When I'm indoors having a cup of coffee or, love it. But being in the rain, I just don't like it. Snow is fine. I like going out in the snow, but not rain.
Hack for you guys. One of the things that I didn't think was weird, but that became obvious to me the moment I moved abroad, was the fact that we don't talk about race. The first time I heard the word Caucasian, I was 20 and living in Japan, and before that I had never heard any of these words, and it's just not something we talk about. Which brings me on to the next point, is that you never have to disclose this information if you, for example, go to the bank or going to the university. And
Nice.
that information is absolutely not necessary for the bank to know when I'm opening my bank account, and frankly, it's ridiculous. So do what the Swedish people do, I guess. Whilst we're speaking about politically sensitive subjects, let's speak about children. In Sweden, we treat our children with respect and we treat them as already humans, which is something I really, really enjoy, and I think everyone should do.
How's
Kids
that
don't
weird?
have to address older people in a certain way. Kids don't really have to act in a certain way. Kids are really allowed to be kids, which means they're allowed to make mistakes. They're allowed to be upset. They don't have to hug someone if they don't want to. They don't have to kiss someone if they don't want to. Just completely reasonable things that I think every country should adopt. Kids are the best thing in the world, so I absolutely think we should treat.
Fine, but go tell grandma. Oh, he doesn't want to kiss you. He doesn't want to hug you. Go tell grandma that. She's not gonna listen. I don't know. How are Swedish grandmas? Do they say, "Okay, you don't want to cuddle? That's fine. That's fine. I won't give you your yearly allowance or whatever grandmothers give their grandchildren." I don't know. I just feel like grandmas wouldn't let the kid slide. Wouldn't be like, okay, you don't want to, you can't, you don't need to. I don't know.
Kids with the utmost respect. Now, this one, I don't know if it's for all of Sweden, but it's definitely something I've experienced a lot of times. But that is people, when I get invited to dinner parties, people ask me, is there something you don't eat? My goodness, this has saved so much trouble having a dinner party or going to a dinner party. I normally tell my best friend when I go to dinners at Hearst that I don't eat coriander or cilantro because I really, really don't like it. And it makes it a lot easier. One of the most important Swedish traditions is being whole and clean. Now, what does this mean? This is a deeply rooted tradition that goes so far back in Swedish history, but ultimately it means...
I know, right? But try telling the grandma that.
means to always present yourself as best as you possibly can. Every time we had friends over, my family would just massively clean the entire house, not because it was necessarily dirty, but it's so important to uphold the standard of being whole and clean in Swedish society. Another thing that I think is crazy that other countries have and that we don't have is that we don't really use the expression from scratch. Growing up, I didn't know that you could buy cake mixes.
You don't?
I had only seen it on TV. I had never really heard of it. I didn't know you could buy any sort of pre-made food or something that we call halvfabrikat, which technically means half-processed foods. Of course, this might differ a little bit, but in general, we don't say that we make things from scratch in Sweden. If you make a cake, you will make it from scratch. That is just how you make a cake. There's no other way to make a cake. You either buy it from the bakery or you make it from scratch. And I think that's also one of the reasons why we are quite a healthy country. One of the best.
So I guess if you say, "Oh, I'm going to do this from scratch," people are going to be looking at you and say, "Well, how else would you do it? How else would you do it if it's not that?" So it's kind of like a logical thing. It's redundant to say from scratch. Then is that what I understood?
Swedish culture traditions that you've probably already heard about is fika. A fika is when you have a coffee, normally, or a tea, with a sweet treat, and you normally have it in the afternoon, but you can actually have it whenever. And this is one of the most common things we do when we go on dates or meet up with our friends. It's so cozy, it's really fun, but I also really like that it's one of the few things in Sweden where you can date someone or meet someone without drinking alcohol. Now, fika means different.
I didn't know that. I knew that fika was more like, this kind of thing that you do in the office or you just sit down for an afternoon tea. But I didn't know you can invite someone on a date for fika. That's so nice. That is actually really, really sensible because, if you want to meet someone, if you take them to the cinema, you can't talk with them. If you go out for, dinner, you're busy eating and you can't really focus on your dinner or speak at the same time. If you go out for drinks, it gets messy sometimes if you're drinking hard liquor. So fika seems like a nice way to get to know someone. That's nice. I didn't know you could uh, do a fika date.
Things in different languages, especially in Italian. So I would use it with caution.
Okay, wait, I missed the beginning of this.
Someone or meet someone without drinking alcohol. Now, fika means different things in different languages, especially in Italian. So I would use it with caution and use it only when you're in Sweden. Going back to childcare, another thing that I really appreciate about Swedish culture that you should try if you have children is co-sleeping. My parents co-slept with me and my brother. Everyone I know, I think, co-slept. My sister co-slept with me or with her parents when she was with them. And I've never ever had any issues, heard any issues, or hear anyone talk badly about co-sleeping. Co-sleeping with your baby makes so much more sense because you don't have to wake up in the middle of the night and go into another room. Also, your baby's brain is not developed enough to know that you're not in the room, which makes it feel unsafe. Co-sleeping is literally the best option for sleeping with your baby. My dad built this really clever little half crib that he put next to the bed with a mattress and made it level to the bed. So I could be in the bed, co-sleeping there at the same time as my mom was in the bed. Co-sleeping shouldn't be a term, I don't think. It shouldn't be.
I was going to ask if it's dangerous because you could roll over the baby, but she showed me how you can actually do it. So, yeah. It reduces the risk of you just rolling over the baby.
The bed with a mattress and made it level to the bed. So I could be in the bed, co-sleeping there at the same time as my mom was in the bed. Co-sleeping shouldn't be a term, I don't think. It shouldn't be a trend. It shouldn't be an idea. It should just be the most common way for sleeping with your baby. Another thing that is common in Sweden that isn't very common abroad is that both men and women call themselves feminists. In Sweden, people are generally more educated about feminism than in other countries, and I really like that we use the word more casually and without so much attachment to it that comes from other countries.
Used to say that.
The weird thing about Sweden that I thought was a bit quite strange is that our school is a lot easier than any other school in the world. Now, I don't know exactly how accurate this is, but I know that in general in Sweden, we are very educated. However, our school, especially I think middle school and preschool, is a lot easier than, for example, in England or in New Zealand. We have way less assignments, way less homework, but somehow it still works. Unfortunately, this trend is changing and we're becoming a bit more like the rest of the world, but I really think homework is ridiculous and we shouldn't have it. So that's that. One weird thing.
What do you guys think of homework? I feel like homework is for people who don't really have stuff to do. I remember growing up, I used to tell my teacher, I know I'm young, but I'm really busy. I have a lot of things to do. And I did. I like at the age of 12, I used to have a lot of stuff to do. So I feel like homework is to keep the kids busy because parents might not get home until 6 p.m. and the kids get home at around 12. I got home at after 4, depending on the day, because I also had sports. But I feel like kids that study until 12 p.m. or 1 p.m., they go home, they have homework, they keep busy, they keep their minds doing stuff, learning, rather than just being like playing video games or whatever. I feel like that's the point of homework. But me, I had a lot of stuff that I was doing. I had a lot of stuff that I kept busy with. And homework wasn't on the top of my priority. And I used to do my homework in school before. I used to finish all my stuff in school, my normal work, and I went on to the homework as well. And I never told my teacher, obviously, because otherwise she would give me more homework. So I used to do the homework at school. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on homework?
We do in Sweden, but I think we shouldn't do, so disregard this one, is that we don't really date. Although I'm Swedish, I've never dated a Swedish guy because I think I've only had 2 Swedish guys ever hit on me in my entire life.
Wow,
But in
okay.
general, we don't really date. We don't really have a period of dating where you can see
What do
other
you do?
people, or normally you're just sort of not together and then you're sort of together. Dating in Sweden is very weird. That is why I've been so unsuccessful at it. And yeah, I find it a bit uncomfortable. And I think Sweden, in fact, should adopt how people date in other countries, because I
Wait,
think it makes way more sense and it's a much more adult way of dating. Something we do in
wait, but I don't understand. What is her definition of dating? I don't understand. Like for me, I think because in English there's an expression like courtship and dating. I think when you're dating someone, doesn't that mean you're boyfriend and girlfriend? I don't know. I think what she means is you don't go on dates. Like either you talk to the person, you like them, and then you get into a relationship. I don't know. I don't know her definition of dating. If you guys could explain it a little bit better. If you I think there's a misunderstanding between the word going on a date and dating someone. Because when you date someone, you become boyfriend and girlfriend. When you go on a date, it's to get to know people. So I think what she's talking about is going on a date rather than dating someone. Right? I don't know.
Sweden is that we learn English very early. This also makes so much sense
That's
because
not
it's
weird.
easier to learn a language when you're young. And voila, most people speak English, which is such a useful skill to have if you want to live in another country or have any job
She has an American
where you
accent
don't
too.
work in Sweden. All right, so we're going even more political. Time for religion. One thing we don't do in Sweden is we're not really religious or go to church, even.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When you say I'm dating someone, it means I'm boyfriend and girlfriend. You enter a courtship. But I think what she's talking about is going on dates. I think that's what she's talking about, going on a date rather than dating someone. Or maybe I got it mixed up. But whenever I hear people saying, "Oh, I'm dating," it means I'm I'm someone's boyfriend or I'm someone's girlfriend. I don't know. Maybe there's a different definition.
Though Wikipedia might say
Maybe I'm
otherwise.
wrong.
So
I
this
don't know.
has changed since then, but when I grew up and my entire generation, we couldn't choose to be enrolled in the Swedish church system. That just happened automatically when we were born, no matter if we were baptized or not. We just went straight into the Swedish church system, which is also the system you have to be in if you want to be buried in a churchyard or if you want to be married in a church, if you want to get baptized in a church, etc., etc. So this is a quite fun fact compared to other countries, because if you look at Wikipedia, it says most Swedish people are religious, but that's simply because we are enrolled in church. Now, say what you want about religion, but I, for one, am a person who thinks that we should practice what we preach. And since most people have lots of sex before marriage, drink
in
a
Sweden,
ridiculous amount of alcohol, and do all other sorts of gluttonous things.
why did she emphasize in lots? Lots. I mean, what?
I think it makes complete sense that most people don't go to church. I remember going to church in kindergarten for our summer ending, and I remember my priest had leather pants and played a rock and roll guitar, which we all thought was very, very fun. We are a land of wonderful and quirky, weird, strange traditions. In Sweden, we have something called jantelagen, which practically means be humble, but also never talk well about yourself. So there are pros and cons about this law. It's an unwritten law, but one of the good things about it is that Swedish people are in general very comfortable and quiet, or maybe better is to say not loud people. So it's very nice to be around Swedish people. No one ever yells, no one ever tries to really be the center of attention, no one really, speaks really loudly. One of my favorite things we do in Sweden, which does not work in English, is that we don't really have a word for please. Now you can use snälla, which means like most kindly, or can you kindly, or you can use tack, which means thank you, but we don't really have a word for please. I love learning languages because this is those little parts about a language and a culture that you won't really learn unless you know the language. So I love speaking English. I love using the word please. But I also love speaking Swedish and being able to sneak in a tack or a snälla where Swedish people normally don't, and sound like the most friendly and polite person in the world. So it's a win-win. So,
Okay, that's
okay, my
interesting.
friends.
I didn't know that you guys didn't have the word please. So in English, the word please is like to please someone or to do something. Well, you know what please means. You don't have any word? Well, she did talk about these two words. It's interesting, though. It's interesting.
I did not think we'd go this political. I have written this video down. It's very funny because when I translate these very regular Swedish ideas to English, they suddenly become so much more political. Swedish people are generally extremely nice, and it's such a nice culture to live in, and I think that's why so many people move back to Sweden when they want to have a family, because it's such a safe and reasonable and wholesome place for kids to grow up. And part of that is because these lovely and quirky ideas that we have. Thank you guys so much for watching
that
this video.
That explains a lot.
So much fun speaking about my Swedish traditions, especially since I'm not in Sweden anymore. Makes me so happy to be able to share something of how I grew up with the rest of the world, especially the useful parts. Let me know in the comments below if you have any specific traditions to your home country that you think are really valuable for everyone. And like this video if you like this type of content, really nice. And because it really helps the channel. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Hey do.
She seems such such a friendly, kind person. So let me ask you this. Do you guys also love like Western, like Hollywood type of content? Because I feel like her accent is so American, and I feel like when you're learning a language, her, like, I don't know, maybe Sweden uses a lot of American English. That's why you guys have very good English. So I think I think the whole world consumes American films, right? That's where we get our accents. I think that's where I got my accent from as well. I don't know. It feels like you guys have such good English, have great English. And I think not only the school system, but also if you guys watch like American films and American media, I feel like you guys also pick up that American accent. Or is it just her in particular that has this accent? I don't know. But this was interesting. I love to see how different people have different thoughts, and it works for Sweden, and you guys are, I think, friendlier because of that. So that's a win, I would say. In Sweden, we watched a lot of English TV shows, also on TVO from the UK and America. I guess. Okay, that's pretty cool. And also, you guys might not have a lot of your own movies, right? I know you guys have quite a few. We have a few on our wish list, like Arn, Cops. We reacted to Cops already. We're going to react to Arn, Emil, you know, other stuff we reacted to. So I guess you guys might have like limited yearly movies. I don't know how many movies you produce, but it's always nice also to check out these films. Okay, with that said, thank you guys for watching. If you want to watch full movie reactions to shows, series, concerts, K-dramas, and anime, go over to Buy Me Coffee or to Patreon. The link is in the pinned comments, and click over here for more videos. I will see you soon. Tusen tack. Take care. Bye-bye.